time, I want to welcome everybody to the Thursday, December 7th, Subdivision Advisory Board Committee meeting. Before we start, I got two announcements. Item 5, Subdivision 2023 00025, Colonel James Jabbar Airport. That has been deferred indefinitely by the applicant. Item number 6, Subdivision 2023 00004, Indian Ridge at Endale, second edition, has been deferred indefinitely. Now can we have the open announcements?
Before we begin the agenda, the Wichita-Sedgwick County Metropolitan Area Planning Commission would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to this public hearing. Copies of the agenda for today's meeting, the public hearing procedure, and Planning Department staff reports on all agenda items are available on the counter in the lobby. The Planning Commission's bylaws limit the applicant of a subdivision application and his or her representatives to a total of 10 minutes of speaking time at the start of the hearing on that item, plus up to 2 minutes at the conclusion of that hearing. All other persons wishing to speak on agenda items are limited to 3 minutes per person. However, if they feel that it is needed and justified, the Commission may extend these times by a majority vote. All speakers are requested to state his or her name and address for the record when beginning to speak. When you are finished speaking, please share your name, address, and the case number on the sheet provided in the room. This will enable staff to notify you if there are any additional proceedings concerning that item. All speakers at the podium, please remove your face mask before speaking into the microphone.
Thank you. Could we have roll call now?
Bill Johnson.
Here.
Mike Green.
Mike Green.
Bob Duell.
Here.
Ann Fox.
Yes.
Josh Blake. Is absent. Bob Aldrich.
Here.
John Williams Bay is absent. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members present.
And I don't see any alternates, so we got a quorum. Test 1, 2, 3. Okay, the first item is item number 2, vacation case 2023 00044.
Okay, now we're good. Again, Philip Zievenbergen, planning staff. Vacation 2344 is a vacation request for a platted drainage easement on property address 3920 West MacArthur Road. This is generally located on the north side of West MacArthur, within 1/4 mile east of Southwest Street. The property is zoned limited commercial and is developed with a detached garage. The applicant is requesting to vacate the west 30 feet of a platted 40-foot drainage easement, so 10 feet of the drainage easement on the east side of the property would remain. The easement is located along the east on Lot 2, Block A of the Pretty Prairie addition. If it is approved, it would allow the owners to redevelop the property over atop the subject easement location for commercial use. The applicant intends to demolish the existing structure on this site and construct a new commercial building. There are no public utilities in the vacation area. Wichita Public Works and Utilities do not object. Evergy and Cox do not object to the vacation. Evergy does not have any equipment in the vacation area, and Cox has an aerial line in the vacation area and just provided a comment that any relocation of that equipment would be at the applicant's expense. You can go through this is the vicinity map, go to the aerial photo. You can see West MacArthur, here's the existing structure on the building and the vacation area. If you go to the site plan, you can see that they're intending to have some parking area in the proposed future parking area, and then this is where the building will occupy, and you can see the easement line there and be occupying that portion of the easement. I have not heard any public opposition or comments about this, and staff is recommending approval, and I can stand for any questions.
Any questions, staff? Any comments from the advisory board members?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment?
Hearing none, nobody else, applicant or agent? Applicant or agent? Is there anybody here that wants to speak on this item? Anybody want to speak on this item? Scott, please.
Yes, sir. I would just mention that we have Daryl LeFew as the agent on this one.
Give us your name and address.
Hi, I'm Daryl Layview. I live at 9908 Briarwood, Wichita. I own XL Custom Construction. I'm the agent for Mr. Loera. I'm here to answer any questions one might have.
You agree with staff comments?
I apologize up front. I have horrible hearing thanks to the industry I've been in too long. I don't hear well.
Do you agree with all the staff comments?
Absolutely, yes.
Any questions to the agent? Thank you. Now, is there anybody else want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move we approve per staff comments.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Green, second by Ms. Fox. Any discussion? All say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Need to make a note that Mr. Blick has showed up. Next item is vacation case 2023-00046.
Yes, again, good morning. This is a vacation in the city of the platted 30-foot front setback on a property address 7442 West Fraser Lane. This is located west of North Ridge Road and south of West Central, right across from Brown Thrush Park. The applicant intends to construct an egress window. If you go to the site plan, the request is to vacate the entire platted 30-foot setback and let the zoning setback apply. This is considered the front setback since it's the narrow part of the lot. Though the house faces Fraser Lane, that would be the street side setback because it's the long dimension of the lot. And so if this is approved, the 30-foot setback would be vacated and the 25-foot zoning setback would be in place instead. They're not reducing it to 0, but the 25 feet gives them the needed room in order to construct the egress window well, which is considered a structural component of the foundation and can't be in a setback. And so it just was cleaner that way instead of vacating just a box of the platted setback. Since the setback was more restrictive than what the zoning setback would be, it was just cleaner to vacate the whole thing and let the zoning setback apply. So you can see that here is this is the 30-foot setback in the red box. The 25-foot setback would be about here, and this box represents where the egress window well is to be constructed. There's municipal water within the Brown Thrush Lane right-of-way. There are no public utilities in the vacation area. Evergy and Fox have no equipment in the vacation area. If there are any like service lines or things for Cox or anything like that, and they would need to be relocated, that is at the applicant's expense. I have not heard any public comments regarding this, and I can stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Mr. Aldridge.
Just to clarify in my head, the egress window, well is for emergency purposes, isn't it?
Right, it's, you know, a sunken concrete basin around an egress window that they want to put in on the foundation to either enable a basement to have a bedroom. That could be that they're wanting to convert a room in the basement to a bedroom and they need to install the egress window in order to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any other comments from the advisory board members?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Thank you. Applicant or agent, please. Give us your name and address, please.
Good morning. My name is Jose Gil. My address is 7442 West Fraser Lane. We are wanting to build the egress window to make a bedroom because our kids are getting older. And we also have other kids that come and stay with us from time to time. And we would like to have an escape route for them if in case an emergency when they're downstairs.
And you agree with staff comments?
Yes.
Any questions, the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the commission chambers here want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve per staff comments, and thanks to the applicant for following the rules of our community. Appreciate that.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Fox, second by Mr. Aldridge. All in favor, say
Aye.
anybody opposed? 6-0. The next case is vacation case 2023-00047.
Again, good morning, Philip Zevenbergen for the record. Vacation 2347 is the vacation of a portion of a platted 20-foot alleyway located on the north side of East Waterman between South Broadway and South Topeka. The purpose of the vacation is to create a secure campus for future development. If you want to go to the aerial image, please. The applicant and agent is PEC on this case, and they own their main campus or main building is here at 303 South Topeka. They have acquired these other buildings south of their main facility and look to renovate them and utilize them as part of their campus. And they're not looking to develop over top of the sewer. They were just hoping to fence in the entire campus and provide a secure environment for employees to walk in between buildings, park in one location, and be able to access the entire campus from there. As you can see, there's a sewer line running up and down the alley. There are Evergy power poles as well, and so the applicant is going to be required to dedicate a 20-foot utility easement over top of the entire portion of the alley. If you go to the site plan, please. Part of the request included the applicant's willingness to dedicate an access easement north of this building here on Waterman through this area here in order to provide access to Broadway so that the alleyway would not dead end. It would still allow for the movement of traffic, especially services like trash service, which we don't necessarily want trash trucks stopping on Broadway or Topeka. They do utilize the alley. Traffic engineering provided a comment on the initial site plan and requested a bit of a corner clip here on there to provide a better turning radius for the service vehicles, especially something like a trash truck, to help facilitate traffic movement through the alley and across to the west in order to get to Broadway. Traffic engineering and fire do not object to the vacation, especially with the dedication of the access easement. I have not heard any public comments regarding this, and I can stand for any questions.
Any questions of staff? Thank you, Philip. Any other comments from the advisory board members?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Applicant or agent? Sorry, go ahead.
Lee Carmichael, Traffic Engineering, no further comment on it.
Now the agent.
Good morning, Rebecca Melius, PEC 303 South Topeka, agent for the applicant and applicant. We are in agreement with staff comments and plan, as Philip mentioned, to dedicate the additional access. We have no concern with the corner clip. I might highlight that we will continue to work with staff as needed to make sure that they're taken care of. So should be in good shape. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, the agent? Mr. Blick?
Hey, Rebecca, so we're not doing the whole alley. We're only doing about a quarter of it, it looks like.
Correct, the south 140 feet.
Okay, so if somebody's coming in from the north and they go past that building, what type of barricade or what are you gonna have to stop them from continuing going down through that alleyway?
So I think the thing to highlight right now is this is currently a southbound alley, and we are proposing to file a petition with the city to actually make this a northbound alley for two primary reasons. The main reason is access onto Broadway. If you were to come south off of English and try and come out, to make honestly a right or a left-hand turn onto Broadway would be rather unsafe with the building facade each direction. So we're proposing that this would become a northbound alley. So you would come, as you're coming north on Broadway, you'd be able to turn into this alley to have rear service and get up to English and then make the right, as English is eastbound only. So to answer your question, I think part of it is we are proposing in the long run, not 100% sure on timing yet, to extend a fence. Right now, this parking lot directly south of our building is fenced in with wrought iron and masonry columns. The intent would be to extend that, as Philip mentioned, to make a more secure campus. We're looking at the longevity also of fencing in the two parking lots that we own south of the two structures north of Waterman. So in the long run, you'd end up with all of the parking areas completely enclosed.
So there's a building that has a business up by English on that northwest corner, and they have a parking lot that comes in off of Broadway.
Correct.
And they usually go south.
They could currently go south. In the future, they would come north to English.
Okay, so what if somebody does go south about another 100 feet? They're gonna be locked in, they won't be able to get out, will they?
No, it would be the same issue. So they would have to either go the wrong way down the one way like they would now, in the opposite scenario, or they would have to back in and go north. So your concern here is this parking area between the buildings, correct?
My concern is somebody turns down in that alleyway or comes in from that business, and they've been doing it for 20-some years and decides to go south.
Sure.
And then they're locked in there and they have no way besides backing out and trying to back out, especially if like a large truck or something. I see it be more beneficial just to block the whole alleyway, but instead of just a quarter of it where you have somebody that's gonna get trapped in there, especially a large truck, and they're gonna be able to try to have to back up all that way back out of there.
Sure. So I can tell you that in our discussions with traffic engineering, when we go through and do the private paving project to create the new alley space, they have requested or required I'm not going to say an excessive number, but a large number of one-way signs to be sure that that is as preventable as possible, which we're more than willing to support. The reality is, I mean, human error is human error, right? They're going to have that situation right now. They do technically have a way out. It is not the safest. They could come the wrong way down the one way, just like they can today. And I can tell you right now, I park right there. So coming the wrong way down the one way happens multiple times a day, and will continue to do so. And people just we'll figure out how to navigate it. But we will, again, at the request of city traffic, be adding a number of one-way signs to add clarity, both at English and coming off of Broadway, and even on the facade of the wall that we have and the facade of the building that we have, for those that have the connectivity there.
Okay, thank you.
As a wonderful neighbor, I expect you have a plan to notify your neighbors or petition for the change of direction?
Yes.
What's the process there?
Yep, so that petition does require all adjacent property owner signatures for support of that change. We are working with them to do that, to put that in front of city traffic.
Any other questions of the agent? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in the chamber wanting to speak on this item? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission.
My biggest concern is I'm almost feeling like we're putting the cart before the horse. I think that we need to at least get the traffic and all the property owners to sign off on it first before we block off the street. Because if we can't get all the property owners to sign off on that, then it's just gonna be some confusion and a mess over there.
But if they don't get that, this is probably gonna be dead.
That's true too.
So it don't make a lot of difference.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Johnson, I think we had an individual who wanted to speak on this item. He was hiding behind the pillar and I didn't think we
Please
could
come
see him right
forward.
away.
I'm Brad Teeter with Spangenberg Phillips Tice Architecture, and I'm one of the owners of the 312 South Broadway, which is just north of this access easement. And I'm speaking on behalf of all the ownership of that building. And we're in general agreement with what's being proposed. We don't have any issues with the staff comments. We do have some concerns about what's drawn right here with that clipped corner. It's not dimension, but graphically it looks to be 5 or 6 feet, and we believe it should be more like 20 to 25 feet for a trash truck to be able to make that turn without possibly hitting the wall or our transformer. So that's our main concern, is that is somehow addressed. Also, there's some exposed steel beams that cross that little courtyard that would have to be removed. We're not real sure about that common wall between this site and our parking south wall. And so we just want to make sure that's somehow addressed, that if half that wall falls down when they take those beams out, that something will be put back or that it will be structurally addressed. So those are our main concerns.
Any questions, of speaker?
I don't necessarily have a question for the speaker, but it does prompt a question to the traffic engineer how big of that, what's the size of that clip that you have recommended at that corner?
I'm not really sure. I wasn't in on that conversation, so I'm not totally sure what that corner clip was, but Becca might know.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Teeter's correct. It is approximately 6 feet, and what we had discussed was approximately 10 by 6. We have run, technology these days is marvelous. We have run a trash truck through this with the turning movement to make sure that it can work. I can't say I've driven a trash truck because obviously there's playground equipment and beams there, but from the modeling, the movement does work with and without the corner clip. So dedicating the corner clip is not a concern on our end because we believe that it can make that turn without it, especially with the change in direction to northbound in lieu of southbound. That helps that situation. But 10 by 6 approximately, to answer your question, Mr. Green.
And then is there anybody else that's going to speak? Because I guess this could be your rebuttal also. Concerning his other issue with, say something were to happen at that corner and it does get clipped and there is property damage on SPT's property. How do you answer and propose there?
So the things that I can easily address is the transformer is currently tucked in and protected by bollards as it stands. So if a corner clip was to happen, it is currently protected by a wall that is not intended to be modified with this project and with bollards. So if something hits that transformer, that I would contend is probably going to happen currently, because as he identifies, this area is their parking lot area. So if that gets clipped now or after the alley vacation, it's protected as best as we can with current means and methods. Or as best they can, as it's their transformer. Regarding the beams, we are actively working, our leadership teams have been discussing the impacts of the beam removal and what will happen with that shared wall, and we'll continue to work with them to make sure that that's resolved so that there's not a negative impact. We're not here to cause somebody's wall to fall down. So we're going to work together and continue to partner as we've started those discussions.
Thank you.
Any additional questions of the agent? Is there anybody else in the commission chambers want to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion approved by Mr. Aldridge, second by Ms. Fry. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 6-0. Next item is subdivision item 2023-00053.
Good morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff. This is the KWH4 addition. This is a one-step final plat for a 3-lot residential subdivision located in the county and within the 3-mile ring. Staff comments, item A, MABCD requires test for sewage and water wells. This is in rural Water District number 4. Building and construction recommends connection and soils work to be completed before memo is issued. Item B, stormwater management advises drainage plan be submitted. Item C, County Public Works approves of the access controls shown along 151st Street West with 140-foot opening and access 2 lots via 40-foot access easement. Next screen, sorry. And next screen. Next screen. Should be a plat. Yep, no, there's the final plat. Back to item C. Access easement will be needed as a separate document, and Public Works advises property ownership needs to be shown for the proposed right-of-way acquisition on preliminary plat. Item D, Public Works, Wichita Public Works requires a no protest agreement for future extension of sanitary sewer. Item G, standard county fire comment for access drive. Private drive construction certificate is needed for the private drive. Standard item H, standard city fire comment about hydrants and access road. Item H, bike path. If you can go to the previous screen. Okay. Item I, bicycle master plan indicates a pedestrian shared use path running through this property. When the master plan was developed, these paths were designed to be located generally along waterways, rivers, creeks, drainways, and other natural corridors. The planned path at this location, which runs through the proposed subdivision, varies from that intention. The initial reason for the routing of the path at this location would need to be further investigated. In order to allow for the implication of the bike pedestrian shared use path as planned on the master bike plan, a 20-foot wide public wide easement shall be created and dedicated for shared use pedestrian and bicycle path as part of this subdivision. So we are requesting 20-foot easement for the proposed bike path. And item V, this is outside of Evergy's territory, no transmission. Item W, Sedgwick County Electric Co-op will not need to request any additional easements at this time. Any further questions?
Any questions of staff? Mr. Aldridge?
Can you show exactly where the easement that you're looking for the bike path to be, where's that gonna be located on?
That will, the way we are handling these bike paths for now, that will be determined by the owner of the property. So anywhere they can locate anywhere on that property, as long as they connect, from point A to B through this subdivision. So off of 151st Street to property to the west. So we would leave it up to the applicant to locate those 20-foot easements on their property
Okay, so it could.
where they see fit.
It could run along 151st Street, for example. That would be less intrusive on the property, correct?
Yeah, they could run it, along the south of the property line if they want to. So, yeah, that will be determined, by the developer and how they plan on developing the property.
Thank you.
Yep.
And it's not their responsibility to pave or prepare it, just to provide the easement.
Just to provide the
Okay.
easement, and then
Okay,
at the
just wanna
time
make
when
sure.
construction, that easement is in place so they can construct the pave.
Mr. Green, on that same line of discussion, is it typical for easement to be dedicated on residential property for bike paths? Or is it-
Yes. Scott.
Anything else, Mr. Green? Scott?
I can provide just a little more background on it. It is our practice to make the request for the easement as part of the plating process. In terms of how often they're granted, that's another question, but so whether it's commercial, residential, whatever it is, if there's a plat that does have a line going through it on the bicycle plan, we do include that as a recommendation.
And it's a request, not a requirement?
It's a recommendation in the staff report that it be required. So I'm sorry, the request by staff or the recommendation by staff in the staff report is that it would be required of the property owner to dedicate that easement.
Any other questions of staff? Any additional comments by the advisory board members that are here?
This is Daniel Schrant with Sedgwick County Public Works. I wanted to just address the right-of-way on this project. It's a little bit unique. The road that was constructed on 151st is not constructed on section line. So there is a 50-foot right-of-way that was dedicated at that time. Typically, we get 60 foot of right-of-way dedicated on each side of the road. So in this case, you'll see that they're dedicating 35 foot. And we're getting there by taking half of the existing 50. So half of 50 is 25, plus your 35 gets you to your 60. And then that will all line up with the bridge that's further north and all that. So we're good with that as it's shown on there.
And you're still waiting on the drainage study?
I believe so, yes.
Any additional comments from the advisory board members? Seeing none, applicant or agent, please.
Good morning, Commission. I'm Dan Garber with Garber Surveying Service, 2908 North Plum Street, Hutchinson, and 544 West Douglas here in Wichita. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, and we're in agreement generally with the staff comments. The bike path easement has not been worked out yet. The drainage plan has been submitted yesterday. I don't believe it's been approved quite yet. They're still working on it. There's some drainage challenges here, and it's gonna require some cooperation with the neighbors. So the development of the drainage plan and working out all the drainage paths will be worked out here as we approach the Planning Commission. I would point out, you see this strip right up here, north to south. That's a little strip on the east side of the section line, but on the west side of the road. The party on the east side of the road actually owns over to the section line, but it's subject to, from there south is subject to a 50-foot right-of-way that the county purchased. But this strip here was not purchased over to the section line. And so that covers, if you will, the 40-foot driveway entrance that we're planning on. And the county has indicated they will go negotiate to purchase that strip so that we have access to the 40-foot strip. If that doesn't materialize, then we would be forced to put in, to move the 40-foot opening south about 40 or 50 feet and then put in a reverse curve up to our driveway. On the bike path, I'm wondering whether we could dedicate an easement along the south side of Lot 2 and then have it jump over to the south side of the property line instead of going north and then east and then back south. If you could go to that bike path map. So here, if we would come across lots 1 and 2, and then if they would acquire their easement here and go straight across, we're gonna have some drainage pathways in here to a terrace that then goes to the north. And so we would request that you take a look at that, and we can work that out as we get toward the Planning Commission. I stand for any questions that you might have.
Any questions of the agent? Mr. Green?
It appears on your preliminary plat that all of the contours for at least the area that you're platting are above the base flood elevation as shown on the FEMA map. So I guess at this point, minimum pads are not going to be required, or is that something that you're looking at?
At this point, not yet. It's going to depend on the final drainage plan. We're waiting to hear from Scott if that's approved or not.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the agent? Thank you. Legal?
Thank you.
Yeah, Kirk Sponsel, Deputy County Counselor. I just wanted to point out for clarification, this is an application in the county, and my understanding is that the bicycle. Thank you.
Staff needs to have a conversation about this, but there is a plan that was adopted jointly by the city and the county back in 1998, I believe, and it shows the bikeways out in the county. This is an update and a recollection since our meeting earlier, staff meeting earlier.
I would withdraw my partial statement at this time.
Thank you. Any other questions of the agent? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak on this item? Please come forward. Give us your name and address.
My name's Wayne Peterson. I live at 5151 South 151st Street, which is to the south of that. And what I was wondering about the drainage, I mean, the bicycle path going on the north side of my property, is that what you're proposing?
Sir, can you use the mouse and show exactly where your property is located?
Oh, okay.
No, you have to use the mouse.
You got to go back to the mic.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, my property is right here. And I didn't know, because I'm not quite sure how this works here, but this is my property right in here. So I just wondered about, or is that where you're planning on putting the bike path or what?
Scott?
I think I'll defer to the agent, but I think at present, that's yet to be determined.
I think the bike path is yet to be determined, and it'll have to be negotiated with the county. Mr. Peterson's property is kind of downhill. The drainage starts up here and comes down this hill, across his property and to this terrace and then north. And so we're proposing to put a drainage easement here with a slight berm that will keep this water from running through his backyard and take it north, east, and north. And so because of all that drainage, we would like to see the bike path slip over and come here and then keep going east, if that can be worked out. So we'll be glad to have conversation with that and with the county on that.
Thank you. I would be curious on what Mr. Peterson's thought would be on that proposal.
Well, I'm sorry that I don't have a map like this, but I do have pictures of when a 2-inch rain comes through there. And that's, if you guys are willing to look at them, I can show you, because we do have a drainage problem. And all that water that comes off this field, it comes right through my property and then right in through here, and then it exits right about where those trees are at, and it follows that terrace. And I mean, just a 2-inch rain is terrible. So.
Sir, do you understand that they're gonna do a drainage study on this?
I understand, but I want to make sure that they're going to do it, because if they're not going to do it, then I'm going to have to build something back there, bring in a lot of dirt or something, because I'm not the one going to be flooded, because they're going to be building these houses up to get the water away from their houses.
And there'll have to be an approved plan that'll have to be done.
Okay, as long as there's approved plan, I'm with it, because I'd like the water to quit going through my field.
Sir, in regards to the proposed bike path, what are your thoughts on that? Would that pose a problem or an issue for you if they ran a bike path along the south section of that of your property?
Well, you know, you'll have to deal with the farmer that owns that land on the south, because it's just farmland. But this is the first I'd ever heard about it. I thought, you know, I had no idea that they were proposing that.
Yeah, I just think that if, before any bike path or anything like that is on private property, that needs to be worked out, not only with the property owners that they're talking about, giving the easement, but also any other property owners that it could affect around here. I just, to me, that's an encroachment on somebody else's property.
Well, yeah, that's what, I mean, we have bikes going up and down, because ours is a gravel road. And every Saturday and Sunday and everything, we have bikes going up and down all the time. And then they have the old railroad tracks up there by south of Kellogg, and all the way to, I think it goes all the way to Garden Plain or somewhere out there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else want to speak on this item? Please come forward and give us your name, and you got 3 minutes. And your address.
My name is Randy Weir. I live at 5130 South 151st Street, which would be right here. So I don't know that I have any objection as far as what's going on over there, except that I know that I understood that there was some conflicts with this street, and I think the agent said something about I don't know, purchasing some property from the landowner. Would that be me? To the north. To the north of me. Okay, that would be Pete. So it was my understanding, just from hearsay, that that the road itself is not going to exactly due straight north and south. That my property line should be like the center of the road and 50-foot easement, but the road itself is off a little bit to the west. So I don't know how much property actually belongs to me, or does it belong to me? I don't know, but it's on the other side of those tree rows, right on here. So again, I don't know if that affects anything, or if I need to be aware, or if I need to do anything, if that is indeed my property that goes across the street. So.
Your property goes to the west line of the section there, which is on the west side of the road, basically in that tree row. And so you would have ownership over there, except that the county purchased a 50-foot right-of-way from your property. So that's why it only goes north to your north line, and we still need access across that strip on the north, about 45 feet of our property. And they need to purchase it for the other two properties further north there.
You said the county purchased it.
I believe from you or the former owner, but I was thinking your signature was on that.
You could, let's have everybody who wants to speak in opposition or to this, and then we'll have you rebuttal.
Okay.
Anybody else want to speak on this item? Please come forward. Anybody else? Hearing none, okay, I'll bring you back now and you can do some rebuttal.
I have that deed out in my vehicle. I'll be glad to share that with you afterwards. So we're working on the drainage with the county. The drainage plan has been submitted. We don't plan to flood anybody, any adjacent owners. We will work out the drainage agreements that are necessary. And the bike path, I think we'll have conversation with the county on where that can go. We'd rather just give an easement to the south side of lots 1 and 2, and then let them work with the adjacent owner going to the south and east so that we can use the rest of our property for drainage. Any further questions?
Kirk Sponson, Deputy County Councilor, just for clarification in regards to the bike easement, I think we need to verify, are you agreeing with the easement as proposed on your property, or are you asking for a waiver or a partial waiver of that requirement or request?
Well, that green line doesn't show very well where it's intended to go on the property. So I would ask for a waiver to have discussion about exactly where that path would go. And we'll grant the easement wherever it needs to go, but I think it's unnecessary for it to go north and then east and then back south.
On that easement that you proposed, buy that property.
Yeah, Kirk Sponson, Deputy County Councilor, I think for consideration today, there shouldn't be consideration about the other unassociated southern property in consideration of today's application, just because it's not our consideration today.
Thank you.
So what is under consideration is where that easement goes across our property, correct? And so that's what we'll have to work out. We're not opposed to that easement. We just have to figure out how much and where it goes across our property so as not to interfere with drainage.
One question,
Kirk Sponson, Deputy County Councilor, if I could caution the public just from conversing outside of the standard practices and at the podium.
Any other questions, the agent? If not, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
I think I have a comment. There seems to be some gray areas on this right now, as the way I'm understanding it, as far as ownership on where the property lines are and everything else, unless I'm totally misunderstanding this. But shouldn't that sort of be worked out a little bit before we make a decision on this? Or am I out in left field somewhere again?
I think that the property ownership is shown correctly on the plat. That's been reviewed by the county surveyor, and I think Mr. Garber is in agreement with what is shown, that there is a strip of land, I don't remember the width, I think it's approximately 6 foot wide, that encompasses the northern portion of this property and then extends further north. And I think it's shown correctly on there that is owned by the person on the east side of the road.
Okay, would that be that Osage tree row?
Yeah, it's in the tree row. You can see on the final plat, it's written in there as proposed right-of-way acquisition, 2,217.84 square feet.
Is that easement gonna be moved?
The public hearing's been closed. Keep it to the commission here. Bob, you got any other comment?
I don't, not at this time.
What's the pleasure of the board? I've got a question on the bike path. Counselor, you said something about having a potential waiver of the bike path requirement. Is that?
My understanding is
understanding?
where this would come from, and staff can correct me, this would be associated with Article 7 design requirement standards, is that correct?
Yes, we would include that as part of public access, under the guise of public access is what we would put bike path and any shared use path under. So
So since that's the case, if it's associated with Article 7, if I may have 1 second here.
okay. Yep. And like I said earlier, where that 20-foot easement goes, it can go anywhere on the property. It doesn't necessarily have to follow that jogged line. So,
And once again, if I may just have 1 minute to converse.
Can we put that slide back up that shows where the bike path is proposed or where it currently exists? Counselor, are you still trying to get it figured out, or do you have it figured out?
I believe Scott Whale had something to say on that.
Okay, yeah, our chairman had to step away taking a phone call, so.
Very good. All right, here's the update is, this has been kind of a moving target and quickly moving one since our discussion, I think it was yesterday, even the day before. So right before today's meeting, I had the recollection of the 1998 plan that was done jointly by the city and the county. It was put together, it's called the Parks and Pathways Plan. And it was taken, the information was taken from this, was put into the Wichita Bicycle Master Plan. What we ended up with was a situation where the county had an adopted plan from 1998. The city of Wichita has one that's more recent, I think 2014, whatever it is, and they're currently in the process of updating it. So we have two different plans. My recollection was that that was included in the 1998 plan. I apologize, but my recollection was incorrect. It shows the bikeway going up to the east side of K42 here, but the county portion does not show it continuing to the west. So what you are seeing on the west side of K42, and we will work to clarify this for future cases, what we are seeing is representation of a bikeway that is included in the Wichita Bicycle Master Plan, but is not included in the county portion.
Okay, and on the map for everybody, the diagonal portion there is K42. And
That is
so
correct.
everything west of that is not approved, or
Is-
not in the plan.
It is
Or-
not in the county plan,
not in
and
the
this is a county plat.
Okay, thank you very
So
much.
if that's the case, then this bike easement is a moot point, correct?
Yeah, Kirk Sponsel, Deputy County Counselor. Just for clarification, County Public Works, at this time, based off of the information, are you specifically requesting that easement for further development? Without approval from BOCC or anything in that regard?
No.
Okay.
Well, that kind of clears up, so item I is removed. Okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, it's back, you're back, and we got it figured out.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board?
Recommend approval, per staff recommendations and comments, excluding item number I.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Green, the motion by Mr. Aldridge. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? Next item is subdivision item 2023-00054.
Okay. Good morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff. Presenting the Margie Cognac edition. This is a one-step plat, final plat for a one-lot residential subdivision in the county. Item A, MABC comments, tests for sewage and water wells. They require soils work before a memo is issued. Item C, I've been advised that the stormwater drainage plan has been approved. Item D, Public Works, County Public Works approves of access controls along West 24th Street North with 140-foot opening, and they have approved a right-of-way dedication along 21st Street. Item E, Public Works requires the applicant to sign a raw water crossing agreement, and they will need to work with MKEC firm to get that agreement drafted up. Item F, standard county fire department comment regarding access control. And item R, Evergy noted that subdivision is not serviced by their distribution. Item S, Sedgwick County Electric Co-op will not need to request any additional easements at this time. Questions?
Any questions of staff? Any advisory board members got any comment?
Rondi with Evergy. We have transmission near the area, but it's not in conflict and it's not serviced by our distribution. Thank you.
Any other comments? Applicant or agent?
Good morning, Logan Mills with Certified Engineering Design, 1935 West Maple, agent for the applicant. We're in agreement with staff comments. The only one I have a question about is item E. I've never came across a raw water crossing agreement. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but we're planning on building farther off the road than then close to this easement, which is near the front of the property. So the only impact would be putting a driveway across that raw water line. So other than that, I'll stand for any questions.
County got a comment on that?
Obviously, it's not our water line, but I can tell you from experience that they do care if you're just driving across it. We had a construction project and it led to significant delays.
Okay.
Chris with City Water Department. Yeah, we do have our main raw water line running through there, so we're just asking for a study to be done, even if it's just a driveway. If MKEC determines that there's no restrictions, and that's fine, but we're still asking that you get with them and figure out what we might need.
So we'll be able to do a driveway across there, right?
Most likely, but definitely get with them and figure out what you might need or what your restrictions could be.
Okay.
You good with that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions of that agent? Seeing none, thank you. Is there anybody else in the commission chambers want to speak on this item? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move we approve per staff
Second.
comment on.
Got a
the
motion by
Conrad.
Mr. Green, second by Mr. Dole. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Next item, subdivision 2023-00055.
Good morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, presenting the Victor Landing addition. This is a one-step final plat for 8-lot residential subdivision located in the county, but within the 3-mile ring of Wichita. Item A, standard comment, test for sanitary sewer is needed. This is located in rural water district number 3. So MABC recommends connection if service available, memo is needed. Soils work is needed. Item C, the applicant proposes lagoons. So subdivision regulations require 5 acres for sewage lagoons, but the MABCD codes now require or allow sewage lagoons of 3 acres or more. So a waiver would be needed for the sewage lagoons. Item D, drainage plan needs to be submitted. We did receive updated plat, so most of these comments have been included on the revised plats, and those will be reflected in the final staff report. Item E, Public Works approves of access controls along 127th Street and the 75-foot access controls along the proposed Datvu Street. County Public Works requests site triangle considerations for Lot 2. I'm sorry, next screen. And next screen. So for Lot 2, request for site triangle easement. Item F, subdivision regulations require pavement of 127th Street East. The note regarding outside urban growth area, this is actually in the urban growth area, so that comment should be redacted. However, the subdivision regulations still require the pavement of South 127th Street. Therefore, regarding the pavement, Public Works requests that to offset the cost to pave, the subdivision provider shall provide a fee of $950 per acre, and the fee shall be credited and accounted to the account established by the county for the expense purpose of paving arterial streets in urban growth areas. Item G, the proposed Datvu Street exceeds the maximum 1,200-foot length for suburban subdivisions with a single point of ingress. However, that street would be allowed if they pave it, a 35-foot wide rock road is installed. Item H, Public Works requests a no protest agreement for future extension of sanitary sewer. Item J, this property is located adjacent to unplatted property to the north and also to the east, to the west. Connection has been provided to property to the north, but not to the east, so therefore a waiver from that requirement to provide access to the west should be needed. Item K, standard county fire comment access roads, and the county fire has approved the 70-foot right-of-way radius for the turnaround at the end. So as you see at the end of Datvu Street to the north, temporary cul-de-sac. That's a 75-foot radius with a 45-foot drivable surface for turnaround for fire access. Item P, property to the east needs to reference conditional use for the event center. And let's see, item E, Evergy noted that the subdivision outside their territory and there's no transmission in the area. Further questions?
Any questions, staff? Mr. Green?
In addition to the item N on the directional of 127th Street, is it possible to go ahead and have on the vicinity map to show have the directional designation on the vicinity map?
Oh, okay, yeah,
Because right now it's just 31st Street, 39th.
okay.
No,
yeah.
there's no
They can
north, south,
include
and
all
there's no east,
prefix.
west on that, so.
They can include all prefixes and suffixes.
Thank you.
Any other questions to staff? Thank you. Any comments from the advisory board members?
Rondi with Evergy, outside distribution territory and no transmission.
Applicant or agent?
Kirk Miller, K.E. Miller Engineering. I'm the agent. We have submitted a drainage plan. We got comments back. We addressed the comments, resubmitted a week ago, and we haven't heard back. But we're in the process of getting all that worked out with the county. We would like to request the modification waiver, item C, for the 3-acre lots, because that's what's allowed now. The subdivision regs haven't been updated. I'm assuming they will be at some point, but we would like to be able to do 3-acre lots with the lagoons. And we'd also like to request the waiver on the access to that property to the west. It's got a single-family home on it right now. It's hard to say if that were to ever develop. I mean, it's already got its current use. So we don't see a need to tie over there. Plus, you know how those things go sometimes. They never line up with wherever they want them when they plat them. So we just like to request a waiver on that. And on item F, we're okay with that $9.50 an acre to pay for our share of the pavement on 127th whenever that time comes. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions of the agent? Guess not. Anybody else in the commission chambers want to speak on this item? Please come forward and give us your name and address.
Vince Burnett, 3800 East, 127th Street South.
I own the property on the east of this plat that's designed. I also have a private drive off of 127th on the photograph that goes all the way back to my property. So that private drive is on the immediate south of this plat that's being developed, and I own all 6 lots that are designated on this area. So my house and the barn shop and the land up there obviously are on the east side of this plat. My major concern is with the proposal that it be approved for lagoons. What that means based on the platting is I'll have along the private drive 3 lagoons to look at on the drive, and then along my property 3 lagoons on the west or east side of the plat. And obviously I know how lagoons are designed. They're usually put as far away from the actual drive in the house and put on the back part of the property. So I have concerns that you're going to have 6 lagoons surrounding our property. So I would ask that further investigation of septic tanks be explored as opposed to lagoons. The drainage is not shown very well on this, but in the southeast corner, there is drainage that comes through there, and I actually, across my drive to the house, have a pretty good sized culvert because the water drains that way and then drains across, essentially going this way. So I have concerns about lagoons, particularly in this lot, and the drainage issues with that. But that's a major concern. I was unsure, because I don't do this very often, but is it required that they pave all of 127th from 31st to 39th? Because it says the county paves in increments of a half mile, but this entrance is going to be probably 7/10 of a mile from 31st. So I just wanted clarity as to, is the entire 127th from 31st to 39th going to be paved?
We'll get that question answered. I do have a question. Yeah, your residence, is it on a lagoon or what's it on?
It is on a lagoon, and you can see the lagoon right here. But at 3-acre lots, obviously, there's
Thank
smaller
you.
territory.
You answered my question.
All right.
Okay, now we'll go back to the paving issue.
All right, Daniel Schramm with Sedgwick County Public Works. In regards to the paving, that's in Section 8 for required improvements. There is a section in there that talks about paying a fee in lieu of requiring the road to be paved at the time. That's that $950 that was mentioned in the per acre, $950 per acre that was mentioned in the comments. So that is for the express purpose of paving streets within the urban growth area, not specifically this street. It would be as the county kind of determines which streets need to be paved in the urban growth area. So that fee would be going not particular to the street. It could, but it's not setting it up to be paved immediately.
Does that answer your question, sir?
It answers the question, but obviously with 8 new lots, you're going to have a lot more traffic on that road, which is a sandy-based road. So, and couple that with the lagoons that are an issue. I've had conversations with Hunter Cusick, who is the property owner located here, and he has the same concerns that I do with all the lagoons.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to speak? Mr. Green?
Yeah, I've got a question for the.
Please come back.
Not for this. For the county engineer. Do you know off the top of your head if that subdivision to the south also paid that same fee in lieu of assessment for paving?
No, so there's a couple of triggers for that fee. First, the road needs to be shown that it's over 200 vehicles per day. And that's covered in here, how that's calculated. So back when Twin Mills, the subdivision to the south, they wouldn't have tripped that. I'm assuming at the time, I wasn't here. So we looked at that. We calculated that it would now be over the 200 vehicles per day. And then interestingly, Twin Mills has requested in the past for us to look at paving 127th Street. So we actually have a traffic count on 127th, and it was 218 on average per day out there. So that's before this particular plat has come on, or the event center that is coming in. So that's one trigger that is needed, and then the other trigger needs to be within the urban growth area. And so when Twin Mills went in, I don't know when Twin Mills was built, but I don't know if it was within that urban growth area at the time. If this project was outside of the urban growth area and was still over the 200 vehicles per day, that would require the paving of 127th Street.
Mr. Aldridge.
I got a question regarding that fee. Is that a one-time fee? And then in the event that it does get paid at some point, are there any credits to those property owners that have paid that fee per acre? Or do they have to generate more costs on top of that?
It's a one-time fee, so it's $950 per acre. And then that's required to be received by the county before the final plat is approved and finalized. I forget the language it uses there. Typically, when we're paving section line roads, that is a county project and not assessed typically, since I've been here.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Applicant or agent, you got time for rebuttal?
The staff comment A about the testing of the soil, they will do the testing of the soil to see lagoon or septic or alternative sewer, whatever can be done. The method will be up to the lot owner as to how he wants to do it. If he can do septic, I'm guessing he might do septic, it's probably cheaper. So it really is something that's gonna have to be addressed down the road by the individual lot owners. They may only have an option of alternative versus lagoons. We're fine with paying that fee for the 127th Street. I mean, it's not gonna be that much of a traffic increase as opposed to, say, the event center that they're planning on putting in there, which is gonna also increase the traffic, which this gentleman's involved with, but anyway, otherwise I'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
Mr. Aldridge?
Yes, sir. I just out of curiosity, where would if it was gonna be lagoons, where would the sites of the lagoons be located on the property?
There is a requirement, a certain distance from the house. Tim can probably help you with that.
And I guess a follow-up question, how would that affect the neighbors if they have a house within that footage too?
I don't know how it's gonna affect the neighbors. I mean, there's required setbacks for all wastewater systems in the county, so on that 3-acre tract, they can put that lagoon anywhere they want to as long as it meets that setback requirement.
Okay, so that setback only applies to the houses or any houses that are on the property?
Correct.
And not on the neighbor, if a neighbor's is, let's say, right on pretty close to the property line, so that wouldn't have any bearing on a setback with them?
Whether their house is on the property line?
You know, just for example, I don't know how close the neighbor's house is to the property line.
Correct.
But if there's a setback requirement or the distance between a house and a lagoon, would that apply to a neighbor's house that may fall within that footage, that required footage?
Possibly, that's a good question. The house has to have a setback from the property line in addition, so that setback from with the house to the property line and then the lagoon to the next property line is probably gonna be more than that minimum of 75 feet.
Okay.
Anything else from the agent?
No.
If not, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we approve, including the waivers tied into item C and also item J, I believe. And I would hope that the owner and the applicant would also seriously look at possibility of alternative sewage source besides the lagoons.
And Kirk Sponsel, Deputy County Counselor, just for clarification, you do reference J. Is my understanding correct that that was only for the connection to the west of the property? Was that because item J, I think, addresses multiple potential connections, right?
Yeah, for the property, the west of the subdivision is unplatted and the
Okay.
street connection, yeah.
Thank you. And just to verify, do these waivers, do you make the finding that such requirements would create unwarranted hardship and that these such waivers are in harmony with the intended purpose of these regulations and that the public safety and welfare would be protected?
I do.
Thank you.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Can you remind us who the second was, please?
I do.
Okay, the next item is subdivision 1-00056.
Morning, Greg Sharon, planning staff, presenting the Wichita Concrete Pipe Second Edition. This is a one-lot commercial subdivision on unplatted property in the city. Comment A, Public Works requires applicant to extend sewer and water. Various utility easements are requested. Item B, encroachment agreement shall be submitted. Item D, stormwater management advises the applicant needs to submit a drainage plan. Item F, standard city fire comment regarding access roads and hydrants. Item G, traffic engineering approves of access controls along North Broadway Avenue. Item A, city environmental health requires any wells installed on lot to be properly permitted, installed and inspected per city and state requirements. And item U, Evergy will not need to request additional easements at this time.
Any questions of staff? Go ahead, Mickey.
I just have one question on the access control on Broadway. Is there also complete access control on 35th Street, or can they do whatever they want on 35th?
35th is not on Artelier Road.
Okay, thank you.
So
Any other questions of staff? How about comments from the advisory board members?
Rondi with Evergy, no additional comment.
Applicant or agent?
Chris Rose with Boffman Company, agent for the applicant. The applicant agrees with staff comments and will continue to work with the city engineers on their utility and drainage plan. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions of the agent? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the commission chambers want to speak on this item? Anybody else? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to commission. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move we approve per staff comment.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Green, second by Ms. Fox. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Passes 6-0. Any other business today? If not, we're